right. Guess who I'm with again?
All
MK
right.
Davis.
Thanks for having
So,
me on.
yeah, well, it's a privilege always, my friend, and hope you're doing well. Those that will hear us, um, this is part three of hopefully a series I'm going to do with MK Davis, somebody I have much respect for when it comes to research on the Patterson film and many other things when it comes to cryptids, in particular Bigfoot and Sasquatch. I'm hoping MK, after a bit of business, we talk a little bit about that video that you filmed yourself in Bluff Creek 15 years ago. It seems like
Yeah, it was,
uh,
I think it was 2008.
2008. Did I
Yeah,
say the wrong date? If I did, I apologize. Just for a couple things.
I hadn't
Uh,
even thought about how many years. It seems like a long time.
Getting close to 15 years. Couple things though. Tonight, David Thundercloud is coming on, and we're going to be talking about his research there in Maryland. And then tomorrow night we have Long Island Bigfoot. Mike, he's coming on. So that should be cool. A couple other things in the works for next week. Uh, to Robbie Lowdown, who's been sticking it out and being there by my side. Thank you very much. And many blessings go to you. So, with that, MK, I've been obsessing over this video of yours. Um, we watched some of it. I mean, that hand that goes across the back of that neck. I don't understand this video at all. So I want us to talk a little bit about it, if you will. It's like it says, it's been about 15 years since you filmed this in Bluff Creek when you're doing your research. I mean, the more and more I watch this video, the more that there's so many exceptional things about it, and yet so much Freudian uh, anomalous paranormal things going on. I don't. Do you understand this image? Obviously, there's something going on there, and there's something here. But before you even get to that, uh, let's talk a little bit about how your health is. So, last week you had procedure done for your heart. And have you seen any significant improvement? And like, give everybody an update, will you?
Well, definitely improvement. I don't have the angina anymore. But I do catch in the afternoons I get tired. But it could be because I couldn't do anything for so long. If I exerted myself, the blood would just pool up behind that blockage, and I would my chest would hurt. I'd have to stop. I'm taking medication also that it's it's metoprolol to slow my heart down,
Okay.
and I'm taking the maximum that a human can take, uh, which is very few people take the amount I'm taking.
Jeez, what are the side effects of that? God,
Well, probably tiredness.
yeah. Jeez. Yeah, I know it's like taking medicines for my MS. So I have.
So it may not be anything. My heart may be fixed, but it may be just the medications and everything.
Well, I certainly hope, my friend, that it does improve your life and you're able to get out there and stomp around the woods a little bit and do stuff with your family. And you know what I mean? It's
Oh yeah,
I know what it's like. So believe me, I know what it's like to be constantly fatigued, constantly tired, and of course, mine's from the multiple sclerosis, but it will end up being similar to you and others. So yeah. So this video of yours, you know, I just find it one of the most intriguing ones I've ever seen when it comes to this field called the Bigfoot research, right? And you went out there in Northern California some 15 years ago, or around that time. And I don't think you even realized you filmed this until after the fact. When did you actually discover that you actually filmed it? You
uh,
know?
7 years after I took it, um, because I loaned the videotape as soon as I got home. I loaned it to a friend who was trying to start a business from scratch with the the uh, he could sell footage, background footage and stuff.
Okay.
And I told him I had some beautiful scenery, from Northern California, and I told him he's welcome to it, and I let him have the tape, and I didn't get it back for till 7 years passed. He wouldn't answer my calls or my email or anything. I finally got a third party to kind of intervene, and they were able to get him to send it back to me.
Huh. It's fate.
And then I put it, it's on a little HDV, a little small mini cassette digital tape,
Right.
and it um, I had to put it through a what do you call a dazzle, converter to
Right.
convert it to computer language.
Make sure to stay close to your mic, my friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I can turn this mic up. Let's see.
Yeah. I mean, I
Right.
personally think
Can
that.
you hear me now? Uh oh. Too close to
Look,
the speaker.
yeah.
All right. There we go.
Okay, let's try it again here. So, okay, so it's a story. This tape is quite fascinating. That if you said you couldn't get it back for 7 years, and then what? I mean, come on. I mean, it's just like
Well, I was looking at the tape as it was. I was converting it to digital so I could store it on a hard drive, and I saw the white movement, the movement of the white cloth. And understand, this thing is in the deep shadow. It's dark, so I couldn't even see what was moving the white cloth. I could just see the white cloth move, and I stopped, and I went back and I played one frame at a time, and I could see a figure under there. So I worked to brighten it up, and when I brightened it up, I could see. Actually, I was disappointed more than anything because I couldn't help but think of the time that I had lost. With this thing, I I never saw it while I was there. What about that opportunity? Uh, I I couldn't make contact because I didn't know it was there. I the whole goal is to try to do get a discovery. Uh, and there I was, 10 feet from one at one time.
it happens all the time.
Yeah, and it watched me go by, and I walked right by it.
But and you didn't sense it, you didn't hear it, you didn't smell it.
No,
And how far away was it? You think it was to where you filmed it?
uh, when you're looking at it right there, probably maybe 50 feet, 40 feet, something like that. And then I walked downstream and walked right there. It had backed up in the brush, and I could almost have reached out and touched it. I mean, it was close. But it was up in that brush, and it didn't move any. And
It just, it just was there and then not,
I
and then it wasn't, huh?
and they depend upon stealth.
You
They
see,
don't bolt and run. They'll let you walk if they think that you haven't seen them. They'll let you walk right up to them.
okay, so MK, you see the hands right in front of it was messing around with the with plastic or what Of course, back then, well, it could have been plastic, or maybe it was. You'd have heard of plastic. We'll say it's cloth. Okay, and whatever the heck that white thing is. But here's the other thing. It doesn't. I get the impression that there's more than one there. The reason I say that is because the hand that runs across the back of the neck, it doesn't add up with the two hands messing around with the white cloth. Have you thought about that?
Yeah. Listen to this. If you can hear it there, I'm gonna run this file. Hold it.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna have to share the screen. Hold on.
Yes, share screen. I can stop this one, and then you can get yourself in there and you share the screen.
Okay, now let me go back and run this file, and you can hear it knock.
All right. Oh, hold on a second. Let's just share it. Let's add this screen here. Let's make this full screen, okay?
Okay, mine's full.
Okay, now we can go.
Okay, here we go. Well, when it gets about halfway through, you'll hear it. Hear it?
I heard that.
It's a tap. It's a click or a tap. It's two rocks banging together.
Play it a couple times so everyone else might hear this. How can it not be anywhere here? How long?
Listen.
I hear it. I heard it.
Do it again. That seemed to be a warning. That's when it backed up into the bushes. And there had to be another one in there to do that. Somewhere.
Yeah, well, the one I'm talking about, I'm suspect. It seems suspect, at least, that the one that's messing around with the bag or the cloth or whatever that white thing is. There seems to be another one that seems to be with it that's rubbing its hands. I wonder if there was another one behind it or next to it that was looking at you guys. And well, it was. Does that make sense? Have you ever thought that maybe there's two of them there in that same spot?
Oh yeah, I mean that's sort of my point, that there almost had to be two of them there.
Which is now okay. So we got water, we got rocks, we got all the natural, things in nature, trees, rocks, these things we film, but you didn't see it, you didn't sense it. It was super damn close. Anything that's that big and messing around with whatever was messing around, it'd be very difficult not to hear it. Although the water's running, that's something that would help it that cloak the water or the noise, excuse me. Still, you know what I'm saying. This is now we're getting into this super strangeness again as usual, right?
Right.
What's going on here with your sharing? You got all those things.
I don't know. That's just what came up when I got out of that file.
I wonder what we can do about that.
I'm looking for some other stuff. I had some picture of Don Monroe somewhere.
Well, when you get it, I'll post it back up. Yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating piece of video. Right? I've been obsessing about it overnight. I had other things I wanted to talk about, but when I was looking at this, like, you know what? It's probably a good time to look at this video again. This is in Bluff Creek. This is the same site or right in the same area with the Patterson film. And so this is something similar that my big brother and his wife saw, which I'll correct myself because once again, it's because I've been telling people that I thought it was him and his son. It was him and his wife, which makes more sense actually, especially with the date, seeing how his son was only like if he was born, he was only 1 or 2 years old. Um, but yeah, they saw one too. This black figure, like hairy looking thing we call Sasquatch, human like thing. Uh, you film it, you don't even see it. I mean, what were there any signs that it was there? Any, I mean, footprints
This
and
is this is what I wanted to show right here.
okay.
Now to the right is where this thing was, down there near the water. Don comes off the mountain and he comes out right here and he stops and sits down and he's eating an apple. And then for some reason, he stares over there where the Bigfoot was. And I asked him, did he hear anything? He says, not really. He just said something made him take a look. He had a feeling.
I do
And
understand that one. Yes.
and he's eating an apple. And I brightened all this stuff up. You'll see an arrow right there. This was all in darkness in the photo, and I brightened it up where there's detail. And I'm gonna just
Yeah,
blow it up,
that's yes.
and
Blow it up.
you'll see knuckles on top of a log right in here.
Blow it up more.
See them right there? This thing is laying down behind that log, and you see the size of the knuckles. Here's one, there's another, and another.
What's going on in the background? Why is it all white like that?
Cause I had to brighten it very hard. This was in deep shadow. I can show you a picture of it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the original.
So I
Uh,
can so I can visualize. By the
yeah,
way, it makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, I've seen stuff like this too in the trees as well, where there's a hand, there's an arm. You can actually see the finger. You can see the fingernails. It is not pareidolia. And how does that? It's, I'm coming out of the tree, but you can't see it with your own eyes. You sense that something's there, right? This something leads you to point your camera that direction and take a picture, but you don't see it with your own eyes. But something's there, and with the camera, it seems to be designed to be able to capture these things,
I just saw that
like
picture.
spirits and like other anomalies. And I just wonder how far away are these things in the end of the day from what we call the spirits and spirit realm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, it's an honest question to ask. And I know it doesn't make a lot of people happy, but the truth generally doesn't make us all that happy. Yeah, can you blow
there it
that up? Can
is.
you blow it up?
Yeah, that's what I brightened up right in here. See how dark it is?
You see, well, that makes all the sense in the world too, because they're in the shadows,
He
right?
he could sense or hear something up in there, and it made him stop eating his apple and look over there.
Well, and if those knuckles, let's go back to the other one. Can you get back to the other one now?
Yeah, I can.
There's not too much to, because okay, because it's a big hand, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Hold on, where did
it's a big enough hand to probably squish his
I
head
saw it? There it is.
like a grape.
See right there?
Yeah, blow it up more, please. Am I seeing fingernails?
I don't know. You might. I don't know.
The tips
I
of
was
the hands?
I was surprised to see that, given how dark it was, but I was able to get some detail, and that detail showed.
Well, that's good work there. Okay. How did you brighten that up that one area, but yet not affect the rest of them?
Well, I lassoed it.
Okay. All right.
I put a lasso, and a lasso just you work with whatever's within that lasso.
Which program did you use?
I used the Corel program.
What's still one you have to win today? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what to do about things.
Could you imagine with a finger knuckles that big?
It would pop your head like it was nothing
Yeah,
more than a
right.
grape.
If I don't know that the best thing didn't happen. If I had somehow challenged it, or say, I see you in there and move toward it,
Well, what
might
if
not have been good.
there's also the possibility, MK, that nothing would have happened. In other words, you just would have walked right through.
I might could have got him to sign something.
He could. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I mean, there's always that I mean, you've mentioned it to me. Other people mentioned it to me, and I've heard guys from they've seen orbs go through people that they've seen what we call Sasquatch go through people, or something that looks like Sasquatch at least. So, with this anomalous, this being, this entity that we call
See
Sasquatch.
how dark this is right here?
Let's go
That's
back
how
to
dark it was in the original. Yeah, this is not brightened.
Can you blow it up for us?
Yeah, it is blown up.
There you go. Now, is he looking at you?
I don't think so, but I mean, I can't swear. All I saw was the white when he moved that white thing, and that got my attention.
Well, yeah. This is what makes this image so special and so unique in the Bigfoot world because first of all, let's be honest, there's only a handful of halfway decent video of them actually doing something like this, interacting with anything, right? And you have a couple of short videos of they've been stabilized and all that kind of thing where either a Bigfoot's throwing something or they're handling something, but it's not very common that we find video like this. That's why I think it's a good idea to obsess about this a little bit because there's a lot going on here that maybe we're missing. Well, for sure we're missing. And I think that you can help point out some of this stuff. Is that his
Well,
foot?
this is the left leg. That's the knee right here, and this is the ankle, and this is the foot. It's the top of the foot
It almost
because
looks like you can see toes.
well, you can see the toes and you can see the toenails. It's a row of lighter color. See right here.
So, and that would, if you look at where the big toe should be, it almost looks like it's almost like a thumb.
Yeah, there is some big either that's the base of the toe joint or whatever. It's a huge foot. It's sideways, so we're looking at the foot on the top, straight at the top of the foot.
Right, right. Just like you look at your own left foot. Yeah, it's positioned the same way,
When you
which is
spread your
interesting.
legs and you got your ankle bent and your foot's laying on the ground sideways.
What's interesting about that to me as well is it makes me think of the painting in the Vatican, the Last Judgment, and where the very bottom center of it, it has two entities that kind of look like Bigfoot and they have toes like that.
I'm gonna kind of cruise through some of this, and just we can talk about it if you want.
Yeah,
I
heck
just
yeah. I think
this
this is extremely revealing video that should be talked about a lot more. And I'm surprised no one does. I'm surprised when people interview, they don't bring this one up that often, if they ever do. I mean, I'm looking at this, I'm like, this is a video that we should obsess about for a couple hours at least.
yeah, this is brightened up tremendously. Now you can see he's got that whatever he's got is wrapped in white cloth.
Or cloth or plastic or something
Or
white,
what? I mean, I really couldn't tell. It's something bright.
which is
And there were firefighters in there a month earlier, a couple of thousand of them. and I'm sure it's probably something they left behind.
Well, when I was a forest firefighter out there, and I was back in, it's 1987. I was 19. It was, yeah, I was 19 out there, and we had it was disposable sleeping bags, and they were white like that. Okay, and what happened a lot of times was during that, like people, certain tribes and all that. We don't to bring up their names. Would bring their daughters and their wives, and I hate to say this, but they were prostitutes. They're and they would take those disposable sleep bags outside the perimeter of a base camp, right? We were supposed to take all those disposable sleeping bags and burn them, right? But
Yeah,
there is the possibility that what we're looking at is when you say a cloth, because it was quite,
you
I'm
can see
sure
it. You can see it right here in this. Heck, it stopped. Let
if
me
you
get
could
it back
expand
going.
it, that'd be cool too. But what I'm saying is, up in Northern California, definitely, at least I know that when we were forest firefighters, we had these white disposable sleeping bags that we were supposed to, um, I think it was like every couple of weeks, gather them up,
There you
uh,
go. You see it
and,
now.
and burn them, right?
Yes.
And so what if, and I'm just speculating, of course, but what if it is cloth and it is white? I'm thinking to myself, what would be the most plausible thing that they get a hold of? Well, when we were up in those mountains fighting forest firefighters, foreign forest fires, that we would have this stuff would be left all over the place outside perimeter camp, right?
Okay. You see, you can only see the cloth right there. The figure is almost unseeable. See, that's without any enhancement.
Although I must tell you, and it could be just paranoia, and that's fair enough, but it seems to be that there is a head to the it would be our upper right, its upper left of that upper left of that white object is playing with it. Looks like it's looking at you. But be honestly, it actually looks like there's more than just one looking at you. It looks like
Well, I
there's
mean, you know, but after listening to the rock clack, that there had to be at least one other one. Where I don't know where, but he was somewhere close. He saw me.
hi
He
Lorna.
gave the warning.
So yeah, I mean, so to me, it makes the most logical thing. It doesn't mean that I'm right at all, but the thing that they most likely could get a hold of would be these white sleeping bags. Now, why would they then bring it down to the creek? Well, maybe because it can absorb when it's open. It can absorb water, right? It's got cotton in it, which could absorb water, which they could have used for something. It doesn't make why bring the thing down there, right? And if it was down there by the river that amount of time, it
See
wouldn't
it,
be
see
white.
it wrestling with something. It's like it's animated. See
Well,
it?
to me, it looks like there's another one that's either hanging on it or
Well, it could be an entirely other individual that it's blocking the view from. You know, if there was a small one with it,
yeah.
uh, you see it's quite broad across the back, and it's sitting there with its back toward us, kind of.
It looks like it almost has one behind it looking at you above its shoulder, and that's where maybe where that hand's coming from. The strokes up along the back of the neck. If we could look at that video again too, or the hand that's stroking behind the neck, I mean, it doesn't add up because it's happening the same time it's playing with the white object. And with the way it's playing with the white object, it clearly had to be using both hands. While at the same time, there's a hand rushing or stroking across the back of its neck. Now, I understand anybody's watching this or have a hard time really seeing this stuff, but I honestly recommend that you go to Davis Report and go to, um, it would be
The crowd.
2000, the 2000, August 2015, that file in the Davis Report, and you can look at it in more depth and slow it down and do whatever you need to do. It's there. But when I look at that, I'm just like, you kind of like, well, that's got to be a person. But I know MK Davis, so it can't be a person. So what the hell
It
is
just, I don't see how he possibly could be a person.
No, well, you know what I'm saying. That's what people are going to say. Well, what kind of, because it has human-like features, right? The arms and stuff like that. But when you look at the details, you look at the foot. If you look at the hands, now that hand also reminds me of Mike Patterson's video, or he has a still of one of his Bigfoot, the hand going over a rock. And I don't.
Take a look at this calf. I got a really good view of the calf. See how big it is? That's that's the
You can see
curve.
the outline and the detail. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's the
outline of it.
curve of the calf. That's the foot pointing straight out. The leg itself, look how big it is.
And if you look at the very top, it almost looks like there's more than one entity looking back at you.
Well, there's been several people who've emailed me and told me they saw the same thing you did.
I
Uh,
mean, if I had the pointer, I wish I could. Yeah, I can see it. The eyes and just two heads both looking back at you. And I know it's like imperfect, and everyone wants something perfect, but heck, it's a miracle that you even, first of all, that you filmed it. Secondly, that you actually retrieved the film and found it in the, you know what
See,
I mean?
watch it wrap this thing up right there. Watch it. It wraps it up, and you see it's animated. It's moving inside the cloth.
I wonder. There's also the idea of plasma. Once again, I'm going to keep bringing up. Hey, what's up, Diesel? Good seeing you, brother. And Lorna, once again, uh, 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 plasma. Now, people film these anomalies up in the sky, right? They have a very kind of fluid, it's seemingly solid, but yet fluid. Like, well, okay, it's a good way to describe it because something like similar to what's in the thermometer again? Mercury, some kind of like that kind of flowing. Now, I mean, where did the bag go? That's it. Almost looks like the bag. I mean, it bags whatever that white thing is. And if we're dealing with a Sasquatch, it's a very big piece of white material. Or is it? Let me ask you this question. What if that thing is much smaller than we what's the size? How have you been able to judge the size of this when you went over
Uh,
there?
I look at the bulk. I can tell, like I can tell that calf is really large,
Right.
uh, and the leg is really large compared to the calf. It's got a very broad back. And when it turns directly looking away, you can see the girth. It's just a great big robust humanoid form.
Well, I agree.
It's got hands. It's
Oh
got feet.
yeah, absolutely. And it's got all the very similar characteristics of what we call Sasquatch or Bigfoot. I'm just trying to. What's your guess on uh, how big it is? You think?
Oh
Oh,
well,
it was just.
I
I,
don't. I'd have to. I couldn't really say. It didn't ever stand up. So it
well,
stayed.
now we have that branch in front. That kind of helps things out a lot. Bit like that branch might be throwing us off and give it look like it's a face. Um, okay. Well, then, okay, then let's go back to the whole idea. But am I seeing things right when it comes to this hand rubbing against the back of its neck? Because I can see how those branches could throw me off and make me think I'm looking at a face when it's not actually looking at a face.
Well, I don't really know for sure. You know, I welcome anyone's opinions.
Well, I think it's a very important piece of video. I really do. I mean, how many pieces of video do we have of Sasquatch holding or manipulating any object?
You see that animation right there? You see it. You see it. It's whatever that's in that cloth is moving.
Like it could be a baby?
Oh,
Baby?
a baby, a fish, or something. You know, there's no real large fish in Bluff Creek. Uh, it hadn't been in many years.
Diesel from in New Jersey says could be white trash bag. They do
I,
like to go through the trash. You know, we thought about it's
yeah,
you're right.
that's certainly possible.
And I brought up the whole idea of a white one of the disposable sleep bags that we used to use when I was a forest firefighter in Northern California. Bad internet today, Laura? I'm sorry about that. Use bags, buckets, etc., to collect dirt, rocks, and mosses.
Now that's
So,
what we found earlier that morning when we came across the creek downstream from here. We found that floating in the creek, so it's fresh. So it washed down from up there where this where
can you blow that up for us?
sure.
Is this like a placenta?
It looks like whatever it is, an umbilical cord right here. See, it's got little appendages right here and on the other side, and
Hmm.
kind of a head inside there. See,
So it's got something in there.
we should have cut it open because it's spoiled and Don threw it away.
Hey, casual conversation with G and A. What does G and A stand for? I know it's Gloria and Ann or something. I don't know. But that's I'm probably looking
There,
at this and
there,
go,
that's the actual color of the rock and everything it was on. You can see.
so because there maybe there's a possibility that this thing
What if it was a Bigfoot? What do you call it, fetus? I don't
Helene,
know.
Helene,
I couldn't help but think about that.
Helene, okay. And Gloria. That was my mom's name, Gloria.
You see,
So
it's rather small.
extremely small. That's extremely
Of
weird.
course, now Don's knife is rather big.
Of course, we don't know when it comes to Bigfoot how many, if it has like a litter or just a single. I know it sounds kind of strange, but let's be honest. I mean, how much information do we have about when they have babies? Are they having litters? Was it when it if it say it bore a baby Bigfoot, right? Maybe there was what do they talk don't they have something for human beings? I think my brother said he had a twin as well when he was born, but like a lot of times that twin dissolves in the mom and sometimes it comes out in um the placenta in the afterbirth. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
So it doesn't fully develop. Um so
yeah.
that
If
could
there
be a
was
problem.
a like a twin or something like that.
And so the one that was healthy hopefully survived. Then could it be like wrapping that new baby in that white thing? Could be. I mean, I,
You have to entertain that possibility.
what's really weird about this, you had no idea you filmed this. You hand this film off to somebody else. You thought you're never going to get it back. 7 years later, you finally get the film. Then you look at the film. Now, are you the one to discover it or the guy that you lent it to?
No, he didn't discover it. He never did even look at it. I don't think.
So, I mean, to me, the improbable circumstances of all this and how it all played out, it's almost like the trickster playing with MK and the rest of us is and him filming it, only to not knowing it, only to find out 7 years later that he filmed it. I mean, how many times do we have scenarios like this? I mean, it seems to be almost a guarantee. So I guess there's a couple lessons in this. And one thing is your videos. It's probably a good idea to go look through them, even when you think you haven't filmed something. I've noticed this with my stills. A lot of times I film something and it looks like nothing, like there's just another, there's nothing in there until I walk away from a couple days and then I look at fresh eyes, as they say. With buying it 7 years is real fresh eyes. I mean, the motivation to look at the film was to when again what just to remember the past type of thing. Is that what it's all about? MK, do you understand the question?
No, I was actually trying to put it on my computer. See, I had never. It was still on that videotape. The only thing I had to play the videotape with is the camcorder itself. I didn't have a video player, so I said I'm gonna put it on my computer and convert it to digital. You know, uh, which you have to run that through a converter.
Oh, what kind of camera was it that you filmed it with?
It was a Panasonic. I've got it over here. That's
How
a low.
old? What year, or do you remember? Or how old
It,
is
it it's got three different chips for each color.
Does it?
Yeah, which that's a lot of professional cameras have that. Uh, it 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 was used mini cassette HDVs, which uncompressed video. The quality was very high on the video.
Okay.
Um, the camera would take still pictures and would take video. Would just change the button.
Hmm.
Um, and it had a SD card for the stills.
So it was saved on the SD cards. Is that what it was?
The stills were.
I mean, of course, yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk more about this. So, let's walk us through this experience. I think this is such a lesson in so many ways when it comes to Bigfoot research. And for those who might not find it very important, if there's an image that you want to share right now, where now people are just looking at you and I'll tell you what, I'll do this in case you have something you want to share. Um, then you can expand it. So, but it's like, okay, you go out, you're just tromping around looking for evidence for Bigfoot. You're filming. You might see some footprints. You might see some tree breaks. You might even see a tree structure, an amazing one, right, or whatever. And 7 years later, you might go back and look at an image or a video and say, "Oh my gosh, I actually filmed one, and I missed it completely." I mean, Diesel, you're a researcher. How many times have you had that experience? Anybody else is in this room right now who's a Bigfoot researcher who's filmed or done any kind of research? Have you had this experience where you've filmed something thinking you didn't film anything, only to find out later you filmed something? And not only that, let's go back to the image of that short image that MK filmed, or the few seconds of it moving. I mean, man, look at those rocks, man.
It's a kind of a bummer. I mean, I didn't care for the feeling. I was really disappointed because I think about we could have come out of there with some real evidence and it languished for 7 years. You know, people, the interest that people take in things like this is, changes over time. Uh, if you showed a whole lot of the Patterson film in its pristine condition, after a while, people would get bored with it. You know,
Well, yeah. Well, I think it's. I think it.
I think if I could have come out of there and just held it up and said, I have it on tape, that people would have taken it more seriously. They they
Diesel.
sh- they
Diesel
sh-
says.
they should have taken it seriously, regardless.
Right.
That's a
We,
pretty good. That's pretty brightened up right there. Look at that right there. I should have done the whole videotape like that. Watch it again, just in the bottom right hand corner.
it's amazing you even saw it. Now in order did you slow it down and that's the reason why you saw it, or did you see it first and then start slowing it down?
I saw it move. Understand, it's not stabilized and it's not brightened. It's just dark. I saw that white cloth move,
It's amazing.
and that's what attracted my attention to it. If he didn't have that white cloth, I'd have never spotted it.
Do you think that your training, all that time you breaking down the Patterson film, gave you the eyes to see that?
Well, maybe so. It may have that experience may have caused me to be a little more tuned in.
I wonder how many other people have videos out there right now that they have no idea that something like that's in their video.
I say more than you would think.
Yeah, I can just only imagine.
You know,
What was going on? What else was going on that day? I mean, there was this Bill Monroe. He's sensing something.
Don Monroe.
Sorry, I'm so
Yeah,
sorry. I'm so terrible with names. Don, if you hear this, if you do, odds are not, but if you do, sorry. You're not the first. I mean, I brutal. I screwed my own son's name, but anyways, um, so Don senses something. What is going on during this day? Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on? Have you thought about what's going on this day? That
we saw Bigfoot sign the whole day. From the time that we saw that little fetus thing, and then we climbed up the mountain, and it's about a 45-degree slope. We came upon. Well, let me go to some of those pictures.
okay.
Let me just see if I can find it here.
I mean, let's be honest, folks. When you think about really think, especially if you're somebody that's into this and you'd have done research, for him to go to actually where the Patterson film was filmed and end up filming something besides signs and footprints is pretty damn cool, regardless of how it all turned out. And it's pretty darn exceptional. Anybody who's done any of this stuff at any length of time knows that. Now, you might have something just like it that maybe you don't want to share it with people and you just want to keep it yourself. I understand that too. A lot of people do that. I don't know what the point is in that, but um, everyone sees the world a little bit differently. But the fact is that somebody like MK and Don and that group, a credible group of researchers, ends up actually accidentally filming that brings up a whole hell of a lot of questions. How the heck did they not notice it was there? How the hell did they not smell it? How did they not see it? How did they not hear it? Yet it was there. And there seemed to be some kind of stillbirth, and that could have been, God knows, it could have been from them, or it could have been from something else. I mean, there's bear in that area, right? And they're also what
Lots
time of
of
year? What time of year? That's the important thing, as far as what possibly it could be, because if it's usually deers and they don't have Their births are in the fall, aren't they? No, when are they? They rut in the fall, right? In the winter. When do they give birth? Does anybody in there remember when the deers give birth?
In the
um,
spring.
spring. But we were there in the summer, so the odds of that being that can't be the case. I guess if they have opossums and raccoons and all that could be, but could be. Some of the videos, I have some videos of them using bottles to reflect light, using it to shield of sorts to create the blur in front of them. Interesting in Diesel. Makes sense. And while you're looking there, we see right here, Diesel also said before that happens a lot. The more you learn and see these things, it trains your brain, I feel, so that when you go back with smarter eyes, so to speak, you see more. Yeah, I think your eyes get trained. Like signal mirror reflect effect, like a signal mirror effect. Okay.
I'm trying to find the folder that's got all of those pictures in it of going up the mountain, finding the culverts and everything. Uh, let me see.
And you guys missed earlier that, if you just joined us in the beginning of the video, MK shared, the audio of a clacking of a rock, it sounds like. Which, by the way, in a very similar stream, just like this, but in my area, um, I heard something massive. It sounded like they threw this massive rock against the rocks in the like a boulder type thing. And I went, and it was no more than 20, probably 30 yards away from where I was standing. I was above the ravine. It was down there in the ravine. It was blocked by trees and its leaves. So I walked down in there, and there ain't a dang thing there. Nothing. Yet I know I heard what I heard. And it was very distinctive when you hear a big rock thrown into a shallow stream with a bunch of other rocks. It's very hard not to recognize what it is, especially if you're a kid like myself and you spend a lot of time at creeks throwing rocks. You know what I mean? Or, fishing for crayfish or whatever. That's what I used to do. So there was always that. I always recognize that. It's
The first time we went to Bluff Creek, we tried to go up that mountain. Don fell off the cliff, and we had to leave because he wrenched his shoulder out. We went back up there. Let's see. Here's Don.
Ready to share?
We went back up there the next year. See them culverts right there? The Bigfoot threw those culverts off the side of the mountain up higher, and they're wrapped around trees. They came down there and hit trees and wrapped around it. It's written about in some of those old books.
Well, can you just pause that for a second? Can I share you part of my story that you probably don't know anything about?
Sure.
My first encounter was in a ravine that had a culvert. It was cement. This is the one they crawled the first time with that crow medicine man. And a ravine like that with a culvert there. And 20, 30 yards to the south of that culvert in the ravine, when I saw it, there was a giant tree that something broke. This is the middle of summer. We didn't have any storms. This is 2017 when you and I were talking, by the way. Seems like every time I start talking with you, I start seeing things again, MK. I don't know what's going on. But and filming things. And so and also on the 20th, I took some images and I filmed some stuff near that culvert again. And someone brought up the same thing, that they use it as a place maybe to hide or to as I don't know why they would even need to do that. What's this? Why be in the culvert? What do you think, MK? because I have no idea why they would do it.
I don't know either, but I can tell looking at the Patterson film that she spent a lot of time sitting down, uh, because she wore the hair out upon their bottom, her very bottom. Yeah, so I know that she spent a lot of time sitting down somewhere. I don't know that these culverts had anything to do with it. We went on up and we went to we discovered a lair. Uh, they were sitting there, I think, eating.
Do you got images of that?
I think I do. Hold on here.
How is Don doing, anyways?
Much better.
Where's he at these days? Is he still up there in Idaho or
He's still in
Montana? Montana.
Here's where we just
15 feet. Okay, found this in the stream next to the rocks on the shoreline. We're going to put this in a baggie and take it back for whatever reason. Who knows?
It's kind of disgusting, whatever it is.
Well, that's the undiscussed part of Bigfoot. The other disgusting thing is the poop.
Yeah,
if you collect it.
I know, guys. They do. I mean, I'm just look. That's never been my gig to be collecting poop. And actually, in the footprints that I have seen, I've never cast for one before. So I understand why guys do, but I'm like, I don't know why I need to do it. So
I don't know anything about these. It doesn't have any limbs. It's too young to even have limbs.
probably because it's too much work for me. I'm too damn lazy to cast up.
Now we're downstream, only not too far from where the croucher was.
Can't tell really. You're the most doctor guy on. You tell us about it.
Now, here's another idea. Maybe it was tending something else that was not a Bigfoot. I mean, I keep filming things that are attached or associated with things that look
Dog
like
picked
Bigfoot.
that thing up with his hands.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, what the hell?
I didn't realize that he
Actually, probably not that big of a deal.
That's his problem now, I guess.
Yeah. Look what I found, MK. Look at here. I can just look at MK looking. What the hell? This trip is getting stranger by the minute. Well, it's very familiar looking country for me, and I imagine
that big
a lot of other
logging
people.
cable
Hey, Bama BF, how's it going?
right there in the creek.
Bama says looks like afterbirth. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, I heard that they wash their babies after birth. Well, yeah. That's what we're wondering. That's exactly what the film. If you've missed it, if you just joined us with this, MK filmed something along that stream, and it's white, and it looks like it's got something in that white, and
yeah, it looks like there's something in it.
Like a baby.
Yeah, we should have just cut it open.
I guess, yeah. I guess
if we pull a Bigfoot baby out of that son of a gun, we get out of there. We tear out for the car.
Well, who expects to be, run across a Bigfoot afterbirth?
I would say probably nobody.
Yeah, look what I found. Okay. I mean, things are strange enough as it is. That, I mean, it would be very hard to first time running into it to comprehend what the heck you ever got. So, but you say this is middle of summer. Was this in July or was it August?
Oh, shucks. I believe this was in October.
The afterbirth one? I mean, when you filmed it?
Yeah, I believe it was in October. We were there.
Oh, okay, so that changes things. And it could be several different things that possibly could be. Yeah. So
you can see there's not any kind of resemblance of anything red. in this water or in this creek is October the 6th.
October the 6th.
Only a
There you go.
short time away from the time of the alleged time of the filming.
I'm gonna go to another one. This is the marker.
Yes, Grandma, that's what I was
We
saying
found
too,
those
Grandma.
markers on the trees that they were on either side of a barren. See that barren part that no grass or anything grew on?
Huh. That no grass grew on. Was there any kind of, what else was in that
That
barren?
was the old lime pile.
Yeah, how far do you think?
You see, lime, it's an acidic forest, and lime is alkaline,
All right.
so nothing will grow. And somebody made markers on either side and then tore the trees up like you wouldn't believe. I mean, they snapped off trees that were like 3 or 4 inches across.
But in that one spot, nothing's growing.
Nothing's growing.
And then you got those things, and they almost look like fingerprints.
There's one on either side, and they're 2 different ages. That one's healed up. If you saw the other one, somehow or another, I got duplicated in here.
Because one of my theories is, MK, is that these things, we talked a little bit about it, but I have the impression that they have. I mean, I think that people should start bringing, Geiger counters or anything they would be able to help detect radiation, like that one video that I shared in the beginning from Man of Light. He brought that one EMF meter back to where he had that Bigfoot sighting, and that tree was emitting higher than normal EMF radiation, basically. And I'm just wondering if these things themselves emit a certain level of what we consider, radiation. The same thing, like the people. Go ahead.
This is Don after he fell off the cliff, and we walked out through some of the roughest terrain you ever saw in your life, and he had his arm tied up with his belt, and he's trying to clean up. And this is kind of where the setting here.
You talking about bungee cords?
Don, the tough old dog. Look how clear the water is, at least. That's nice.
I'll be honest with you, Don. Sailing through the air 50 feet off a cliff, probably not the smartest thing to do either.
How far did he fall?
About 50 feet.
What? He must have tumbled down. Is that what he did?
He bounced down like a pinball.
No kidding. And he's still standing. How bad did he break his arm or just spraying it?
He wrenched it out in his shoulder.
He's kind of climbing off that crap, man.
He threatens to shoot me because I was filming him. Watch him. I don't know if you can hear the audio.
It's all about energy. I think you're right. There's a big part of all this is pure energy we're dealing with. In a form that we can't understand.
What's that you got in front of your hat?
I wouldn't be surprised you filmed a Bigfoot in this one too if you paid attention.
I know. Some of that stuff, I just I wouldn't. Even though you're down at Bluff Creek, you're still not thinking you're going to film one.
No, well, I mean, that film that you have proves the fact that you could be filming one that's 15, 20 feet in front of you, and you have no idea it's there until after you film it. And it's moving, and it's animated.
Yeah. There was allegedly a Bigfoot up under this tree. Somebody spotted it in one of my films. I've lost the original film to a hard drive crash, but I went and looked at this.
Well, don't you do save all your stuff in external, right?
I lost this one. It was an external.
Really?
And it crashed.
Ooh, that's bad news. So what do you use? Do you use anything else you use now for to save your stuff on outside of external?
I went and bought a 14 terabyte and double backed up my stuff.
14 terabyte. That must have cost you a couple $100.
Yeah, it was pretty high.
Okay. So they say right there's a Bigfoot.
Well, I have to find the original. It's a hand sticking out from under the tree.
Would not surprise me.
See right there.
Always behind a tree or by the tree or in the tree or the trees are so much associated with all this. I mean, the evidence is mounting up. MK.
Right there.
What's up, MT?
Where that tree is?
MT, I want to have him come on, man, and talk about what he experienced last weekend. So, hey, O.R.D.
Well,
on break. Just wanted to stop.
We got a film canister thrown at us. We pulled down there after dark. And
a film canister of all things thrown at you.
A white film canister hit the car. And, this was after the days of film. It was an old canister.
Like something that might have been like the time when Patterson film was filmed, that kind of thing?
When they used to sell it in the plastic cans. You see this is that
would be the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah, this is that bare spot, the same bare spot. You see how powdery it is? That's lime. That's carbonates.
Is that something that human beings spilt over there, or?
Human beings took it down there. They used lime down there to harden up the sand where they could pull 18-wheelers down there.
Right.
Watch him when he kicks it. I'm gonna watch him when he kicks that line. See it? It's not sand, it's powder. You could put your hand on it and to make a fist and just push down, and your hand would go all the way up past your elbow.
I believe that. So, hey, listen, how far off the beaten path is that block?
You see that tree right there in the middle? That's one of the trees that has the marks on it cut on there. There's one on either side of this.
Those round circles that you're talking about?
Yeah. It's a two dots and a slash.
Well, I wonder what that means. 2 dots.
Well, in 2012, both of those trees were pulled up by the roots and they were gone.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so this is after the fact. You guys discover it, and then they decide to pull the true trees out of the roots. Okay. I wonder how soon after you guys' discovery of it. So it's him finding footprints.
I don't know, because we a couple of years getting back up there.
Are these the big footprints?
Some of them. This was 2021.
So now we're talking just 2 years ago. You guys were back there, and that would have been 13 years. No, yeah, 13 years when you filmed the Bigfoot yourself in the same area. So
let's ride on that thing.
So it's safe to bet, a safe bet to say that there's still
this rock's got to go for sure.
Quite amount of activity going on in this area when it comes to quote unquote.
Yeah, there was lots of fires when this was taken. You see the smoke. The air's got smoke in it.
When I was a forest firefighter out there, I was always amazed at how it was. The sun was always darkened, right? It really was. You could barely see the sun, and the moon was always orange. It was actually one of the most beautiful things I ever seen in my life. Strangely enough, is a mountain on fire at night. It's really quite beautiful, as long as you're not in the middle of it when it's happening. If you're in a distance, it's quite a spectacle.
This is where Don Falls, and there's no reason for him to fall. It looks like somebody threw him. Watch him behind him. He lifts up and then goes down, and he bloodies himself pretty bad.
Jesus, is that him falling right there?
Yeah, watch him. You hear him holler?
Well, he looks like someone being thrown. What the heck?
Yeah,
Where
I
did
know. He goes up.
Wait a minute, how does that happen?
I don't know.
Unless we're
It
talking.
messed him up bad.
We see that. And there's no way of expanding that either, or is there?
I've got one that's slowed down and expanded. Let me see if I can find it here.
Wait a minute. You didn't. That part of Don, you didn't say anything about. He got looks like was something through him.
Yeah,
listen, that age, nobody in the right mind is just going to go. Michael Jordan in the middle of the trail there and fall. I mean, I'm sorry, that just doesn't happen north. But there's things out in the woods that can do that to you. That's what I've discovered. And you don't have to be able to see them, by the way, during the day. I discovered as well.
Let's see, Bluff Creek images and
Let
video.
me ask you this: do you know? Is this on the same day that you filmed the Bigfoot, or
no?
When did this happen? 2 years ago?
No, it happened. 2019.
3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah,
is when it happened. When he got thrown.
Yeah.
How many times have you guys been there?
Quite a few times.
More than most, especially people who are
more than most.
So MK is not just a guy who's been breaking down video. He's gone there and he's actually filmed one of these things in Bluff Creek. And I think it's one of the most profound pieces of video we have out there. I don't hear anybody talking about it. I mean, to watch the thing manipulating an object like the bag, or it could be a part of a disposable fire, a blanket from the firefighters. It could be in numerous things. But anyways, there's something going on, man.
I don't remember what I named the file here. That I was going to show the others that were closer. Let's see here. Try it again.
And it is important to talk about this particular happening, because it's not normal to even, first of all, to film a Sasquatch, let alone film one that's moving, let alone one that's you didn't even know was in front of you. It's not a log. It looks like a tree laying in the path. You talking about flies? Yeah. We don't know what the hell happened to it. Did Don ever say that something might have pushed him? Did he feel like something pushed him, raised him?
He said he don't remember because it waylaid him. It gave him a concussion. His ear was shredded. That's what I was going to show you. That I can't think of what I named the file.
Okay, MT Mike, we'll see you later, buddy. Thanks for joining us. That's one of the problems, doing shows this time of day is, we realize that people are working, but then again, MK's an old dude now, so you can't just keep him up all night.
Well,
he's got his bedtime he's got to work on, so. And soon it will be my routine as well, like anyone else. The older you get, the more easier and tired you get.
It's it's a subfolder. I know it. So I have to try to remember which folder I put it in.
So,
that ain't it. Bluff Creek info might be it.
See, I'm filming a lot of things that I would define as spirits, MK, in the forest. And I'm just wondering if there are certain spirits out there paying attention to us. And if I don't see how an old man like this can, I mean, did he see a snake? I mean, he doesn't even know what happened. He doesn't remember. He
All
got a
right,
concussion.
I found it. How about that? July 2019. This is GoPro footage.
I know what you're talking about, MT, but
Okay,
one of the things is, folks, if you see that being posted on the video, that's me posting it. Most of you
Don,
should be able to see your comments, and you should be able to see the comments after the show is done as well.
okay,
So
this is slowed down and
hold
enlarged.
on a second. Hold on. Let me share your. I'm showing mine. Let's do it again.
Okay, it's repeating.
Now, okay, how high is that off on that side of the path? Is it
When I
higher up
turned
or
around
lower?
and looked at him, I turned around and looked. He hollered like somebody had punched him in the ribs or something. He went, God, down, and then he flew up into the air. He went up before he went down.
That's part of the story you've neglected to tell me.
Yeah, watch.
After all these years. Okay. This is a very important bit of data, MK. If this is what if we're correct
see.
about what we're seeing here, this is very important bit of data.
You see how hard he hit. That the slow motion will fool you. He hit hard. Watch him. Just like somebody had thrown him down. You know, he didn't catch himself.
Yeah, it doesn't look like when you trip, you usually just go, you know, on your elbows or knees or whatever. You usually don't
I'll show you what it did to him.
look like you're flying, unless.
Now that's the impression.
Wait a minute.
Shoestring tackle. That's what Diesel says. A shoestring tackle.
Look at that.
That's one hell of a fall.
Yeah, I did.
That's one hell of a fall. Wait a minute. Well, what did that come from the fall, or did that come?
That came from that fall.
I mean, let me rephrase that. When he hit the ground, did he hit the ground with his ear?
It just slammed into the ground, and a stick or something went into his ear. He couldn't hear for a long time out of that ear.
How many times? Okay, so he almost breaks his arm, dislocates his arm.
Well, Bluff Creek has not been kind to him.
I would say not. I shouldn't be laughing about it. A guy could almost died from what has happened here, but I still look at all.
Oh, he's tough as nails.
Did you see any glyphs or anything on the trails? Did you see anything? Any markers around the way? Did you see any tree structures in that area? What was? I mean, what?
We found tracks, a whole bunch of tracks. Let me see if I can get to that. And we found where they had piled up.
Yeah, you got to respect Don. Don is tough. Don is very tough. I want him to come on the show. Did you talk to him yet about it? No. Are you going to talk to Don about joining us?
Yeah, I will.
You said that 3 shows ago.
I mean, you just had to keep reminding me because I got a lot of irons in the fire. That could be a glyph if you wanted to call it a glyph.
Well,
I mean,
the guys.
It's right there where the tracks are.
Yeah, the guys that are out there, they might know what it means or see if it's a glyph or not. It's right where the tracks are. That's interesting.
See?
I'm not a glyph expert. I don't really pay.
Well, me neither.
So
I'm actually a poor researcher, but I'm very hard headed.
Well, listen, I don't know what you mean by poor researcher because that's ridiculous to say that. Or unless you're saying you don't do it like 24/7 all day long. I mean, what's up, Samuel Woods? Is that my cuz? Or a friend of my cuz, Samuel? Is that not my cousin? Is it my nephew, Samuel?
You want to see some tracks? I'll show you some here. Let's see.
Is that you, Robbie? I can't remember if Samuel was his. Are you related to Robbie?
Let's see. We need raw footage, camcorder. Here we go.
So
That's not
we
it.
film Bigfoot for a few seconds. We can't see. Film a whole bunch of footprints. We see signs everywhere. I'm talking about you guys, right? And
It was signs everywhere.
and Don gets thrown like a rock. Not like a rock, what's supposed to be like a dowel, like a rag dowel, and bangs almost kills himself, landing on a branch on the side of his head. And if anybody thinks that the supernatural, the well, they want to call it woo, but I think that's very disrespectful. I think it was really going on. We have spiritual things that are very much associated with Sasquatch. You can't avoid it. You could try to avoid it. You can try to pretend that it's not happening, but you're just missing 90% of what's going on around you. How are you doing? I'm doing good, Samuel. Maybe don't know. I think you know.
I think it's right in here somewhere.
Samuel.
Make sure it's the right one.
Maybe you don't know, Samuel. Who's that?
Wait, is that it?
That gentleman to the right there, passed away
Might be not the right
a few weeks ago.
Because I start walking.
Who's that?
Dennis Guern.
Say his last name again.
Gueren.
Guer?
Guern or Guern. Some people.
Guerin, Dennis Guerin, huh?
Yeah.
That's a tragedy. What happened? He just
he had an infection in his lung. What is it? A fungus in his lungs.
wow. I didn't know that he did.
This guy right here, Eric Smith, saw what he could have been a Bigfoot. He went back to get some stuff that we left down at the creek.
Uh-huh. Rest in peace, Dennis.
Don had left these bagels down there. Hear him?
It already crashed. That's why I yelled and backed up.
Well, no, I'm not hearing anything. I'm hearing.
That's me talking on the radio. I didn't realize it was still on.
He's trying to keep it, trying to back it off by yelling at it.
Filming Don's bagels, and I heard crashing away on you, but I'm at the bottom. I'm looking at Don's bagels, and something was crashing in the woods up on the hill there. I think it's all right. I'm just a little spooked by it because it was literally only like 20 yards away. I got your gun in hand while I'm walking, so.
Yeah, if it's 20 yards away, yeah, you're going to be more than just spooked.
You hear that load? Shit's hitting the fan.
Who's the young guy?
Eric Smith.
It's Eric Smith.
He's from Washington State.
Hey, bear! Hey, bear!
It sounds to me like has some sightings and encounters himself, huh?
Yeah, well, we've never gone down without it.
What do we got here, Eric?
Watch this.
Is there any way I can get a hold of him and talk to him and maybe interview him?
I'm sure.
Well, if you could help arrange that, that'd be fascinating to hear another person's experience going along with your guys. You know what I mean? It's good to document it at least.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, this place right here, they bring these giant sugar pine cones that have pine tar all over them, and they pile them up in a big pile. And there's a trail that goes. They have worn out a trail going down the mountainside, bringing those cones up. And their tracks are all around.
I don't see claws, but they're big.
And that's a rock that got turned over. There's a track. There's two of them
That looks
right
like
here, right
footprint.
there.
It looks like it's a big. Oh yeah, you can see the toe prints. The one's pretty big.
Yeah, I see.
Well, that's not so big. That one right there is big. That's the one I was saying.
Look how deep it is.
I know. Well, yeah, if we're talking, see, this is the thing that doesn't make sense. These things,
See that big old pine cone? They don't grow hardly anywhere but Northern California.
Samuel Woods, I don't know you. I think you're not related. Samuel Woods says, have you done any research with burial mounds and Native American marker trees?
Look at that one.
Mark graves if the spirits can have. That's a great question, Samuel. It's a fantastic question. And you're the type of guy I would like to talk to because you had enough sense to even ask that question. That was an excellent question. You're still around. Good job. And yeah, we do need to do more of that 100% because I'm sensing a very strong connection with shamanic, ancient, indigenous populations, spirits involved in all this, and trees. And I personally, I know MK has checked out some burial mounds in his area and other places. I have not gone to any burial mounds myself, although I must say where I'm at in Northwest Ohio, there's lots of things. Like we used to find arrowheads down in the where the mom Fort Meigs is and all that kind of stuff. So, and I wonder where I'm at right now is actually an ancient part of it, because a lot of times what Roman Catholics would do, they'd build their churches on top of these mounds, these sacred areas. Yeah, I will, Samuel. Thank you for that. Thank you for the invitation. I'll message you. Let's talk, man. Now, if you got the stuff, man, we'll talk. We do a show together, man. Let's talk because this is something I'm really leading towards. I'm starting to see that there is an ultra terrestrial or supernatural thing going on here. We're doing multiple different things. And Sasquatch is it's a very important part of this big story, but it's a big story. Big story. There's a whole bunch of things involved. And it's more, than what people just label things. Let's see here.
I don't know if y'all can hear this, but just when we were leaving out and I was filming out the window, that's Bluff Creek down there at the bottom.
It's beautiful country.
Looks when like you see this tree right here, when this video just clears this tree, there's a roar from down at the bottom of Bluff Creek.
We'll talk to you soon, Samuel Woods.
It's just let you barely can hear it, so I don't know if it's going to translate over to y'all or not. But
now, hold on before we go any further. What is we listening to? About what?
It's a big roar. From you can hear it all the way down at the Bluff Creek down at the bottom.
And what time of the day is this?
The middle of the day.
You don't hear too many of those things.
Bluff Creek is right down here. I flew my drone out there, and I think it was roaring at the drone. I had already put it up, and we were leaving. For some reason, drones piss them off.
Okay, Diesel. We'll see you later, buddy.
All right. Well, listen. See if you can hear it. I don't know if you can or not. Right after that tree clears, I could hear it.
He's going. I think I can hear it, but it's distant.
It's a guttural, deep roar.
It's distant, though, isn't it?
It's distant. It's way down there. I think it was roaring at the drone. So it was something going on the whole time.
Mild. That's a casual conversation is mild. It's hard to hear, but it doesn't mean it's not what it is because I know it's a lot of guys they have to use some
Look at
audio
his
software.
ear. It's a bloody mess.
The way the duty was different and the shot was different. And
I mean, how many guys just like get thrown by something? Get hey, let's just.
Couldn't help it. The water's for the evaporators. Took 300 gallons.
It shredded his ear.
The evaporators wasn't the only engines. The boiler tender down below down in the engine room had to make sure that water's going through there. The surplus water they cooked with that if we had it. Yeah. And crank it, sneak it out, But I tell you what, it was red, something else.
16 shifts. So you almost died a lot of times, then, huh?
Yeah, several times. Once we had
It's not.
it was going to go down. There's
I shouldn't laugh, but he's had from what I understand about Don, he's had a lot of adventures, right?
Look at the CNC in the ear there.
And we didn't know how bad. Mm-hmm. At the same time, the water got into the ammunition section.
Well, that's tough.
The witness paper tells you this. Yeah. We had to get guys, volunteered. We had 4 or 5 guys to toss ammunition overboard. Go down there and stand in line.
I don't know how many other people would be sitting there telling stories after crashing like that.
What's the name of that young man again?
Eric Smith.
Smith.
Yes, that's an old road that they abandoned because its rock slide took a section of it.
Yeah, those roads are pretty hairy too, man. You know, if a Bigfoot decided to chase you on that road in those cars, you wouldn't have a chance. That's the truth.
Well, once you got on your feet, if they wanted you, they could get you.
Well, here's the thing about those roads. That's what I'm talking about. Just because you can't go fast on them. If you do, you're going to go right off that cliff. So good luck going more than 10 miles an hour while that thing, Bigfoot can go, 7 times as fast as that. They'll be hopping on your truck the whole time. You know what I mean? I haven't heard too many of those kind of stories though. So she's fascinating. Do you think it would happen more often? Bigfoot attacks. But if I'm even close to being right, and Don had some kind of spiritual attack that's associated with Bigfoot or Sasquatch, I mean that's quite a piece of data to me. That's some information that says a lot about what we're dealing with.
It had every appearance of somebody throwing him. This is Louse Camp. It's an old logging camp.
Somebody's been back here in a while, I know.
I'm gonna try to find that other crutch cone and track. Death of smaller, death of track around tree. I want to see the pine cones.
Okay, Don, we're filming. This is the next day after we found these.
You could turn the volume up, MK.
We're ready to
how?
Camp here. We wanted to come out here and look at them again. And
on your computer?
And it looks like
I don't think it does anything for the video when it's in this module. Share.
It will register on my end, on our end.
2 of them go through here. One smaller and one bigger.
Yes, he is, Lorna. Yes, he is.
Here we go.
He sounds like he would have been a great dad or a great uncle. Or didn't you hang out with Don? The adventures you would have got yourself into with him.
Yeah. Now this one is most impressive this wise. To me, it is.
This is that same spot that we were at with Eric Smith 2 years prior. But see, these are all newer tracks that were done since then. See how heavy they are?
They're massive and they're deep.
That's what I'm saying. I felt like we were in imminent danger.
And there's no, and that the soil's not soft there either.
It's not soft, not at all. These were big ones. And let me tell you what, they wore out this trail. That trail going down that mountainside was fresh. And all those, a huge pile of those pine cones, those giant pine cones. They were covered in pine tar. They were gathering them up for some reason.
My research tells me that they weigh about double.
I wonder if they lick the tar.
If you see something that looks like
they could lick it, or they could put it in their hair. It's also an insecticide. I mean, it repels insects.
Plus, it's great if you want to start a fire. Great fire.
I couldn't even begin.
Solid something.
If you want to compare that
See?
stomp on there,
I could put nothing in it. Nothing in it.
that way 3 times your weight.
Zero.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself for about 2 minutes, okay?
Okay.
I'm listening.
Consumption.
People are watching, so
All right, here we go.
they want to hear you anyways, not me.
Side of the hill.
Just tell us what we're looking at.
Going up there. All right, this is that game trail right there that we just looked. All right, this is not a pine cone, even though it kind of favors one. It's actually a fungus. And it's full of sugar. And bees love it. Ants love it.
Other seeds are pretty good too, by the way.
Going in the ground.
That's some kind of a soft fungus.
Right.
It resembles a pine cone.
California.
Look at that grouse.
I can't see him though. He's behind the mirror. Friendly little thing.
Yep.
Look at the little baby. There's baby grouse.
You find them.
Most of them have color tails. It's just light color tails. See, that's a nice picture, man. Mama, chicks or somewhere.
I saw the chicks. They ran off, I guess.
Towards the left.
Yeah, I see them now.
You see that chick?
Kind
Kind of hard to pick out.
Yeah, I see them. Right there.
How many are 4 of them?
Well, I'm just seeing one right now, but there were more.
We're going.
A bear. Uh-oh.
It's another one.
Look at the size of that bear. He had to duck a little bit to go under that gate. He's done well for himself.
That's a really big bear.
He's going to turn left here in a minute. There you go. Big old head. Uh-oh, here's that marker, that monument.
All right, Don. This is something similar that we've seen. We saw up there on the 12 and 13 road. This is a little arrangement of stones
And pine cones.
and some pine trees, sugar pine cones also a stick leaning against the tree, which we found on the 12 and 13. Remember, on that road coming in. What are your thoughts? What is it? A blaze? What are we looking at right there?
It's a screwdriver.
Yeah. Okay.
Up there's another piece of something.
Screwdriver hammered into the tree all the way down, all the way in.
And here's something else about the distance that's up their tree. When you put something in with your hand, you stick it in almost eye level. Like if you stick a knife in a tree, for example.
So you're saying that being so
did that tall up there, did that.
okay, I'm gonna reach as high as I can.
Yeah.
I can touch it. That's as far as I can reach.
Now, if you don't believe that, take your knife
Look at
out.
that! Look at that right there.
Yeah. Know what that means? No, that's the same thing bears do. They're not got tools. They reach up on trees and they scratch. So if something is big enough to put a marker, how high they can stand and this is a possibility. You put the marker on the tree, how high they can reach.
Look, they made a cross with just wire.
Somebody just.
Bears do the same thing. They reach as high as they can.
Let me ask you this: considering all possibilities, could this be a place where someone ran off and died, and someone memorialized it?
Well, that's what I thought, but I don't think so. Because it's so wide here and the road's so wide right here.
Well, how do you put something?
Well, this is abstract as can be, but listen a minute. If you, in Sherlock Holmes' books, he tells about this, and it's also in forensic science. When you write on blackboard, just at random, your name or a number, you write as your eye level usually.
You see, that's Jesus. That's a Jesus. That's a Jesus statue up there, a plastic one.
It's a cross.
No, above the cross, there's a Jesus, plastic Jesus.
Well, then there's a mixture of things here possible.
Yeah.
But this here right here, let's just jump away from that a minute. The pine cones are the same symbol we found in the other places miles from here.
Right, right.
And the stick's the same exactly, it's the same kind of symbolism that we found.
What do you think is going on here, MK? What's the
It's there are three people that were missing.
They're miles apart.
This is definitely a
Never seen again. And I think that it's some kind of memorial that the Sasquatch themselves made. We found one identical to it on 12N13, way out in the middle of nowhere. The gate stays locked most of the year. Those pine cones have something to do with some spiritual nature. You see, they drove that screwdriver all the way in to the handle.
You're right, Lorna. And
I think it's stuff that they've stolen, from camps and stuff.
Well, isn't that interesting? So you're thinking that the Jesus little figurine they put up there, Sasquatch?
Yeah, I think they put it up there. Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting possibility. That's for sure.
We found that exact same motif with a leaning stick against the tree and an arrangement of stones and some pine cones. Didn't have the Jesus or the cross, but the exact same thing on 12N13 going into Bluff Creek, way back, where to get to that, you had to move rocks out of the road, Nobody had been back in there. It was exact. I think it's.
Can we go back to that part of the video and look once again at the tree, the figurine, and
yeah, sure.
This just for me and for everyone else, in case you see something like this. Now,
see how primitively that cross was made out of just two sticks.
Well, how did they put them together?
By some old scrap wire. Can you see the wire that's on it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. A person could do that. Maybe something.
Well, of course they could, but a person would do a better job.
You would think they would try a little better than that. But see the figurine. That's a fascinating image. What does that mean?
I don't know.
I mean, I have my own personal experience with the name of Jesus and protecting me from things that were dark spirits that were associated.
This is a trinket. He done that. I think they took and stole that from somebody's camp or something. You know,
Camps.
uh, or maybe even out of their car. I know a lot of Catholics have those figurines of Jesus that they'll carry with them. I know a guy that used to keep one on the dash of his car.
That's fast.
Uh,
What about the tree? What about the branch that was leaning against the tree? It looked like it was all stripped off of any kind of smaller branches. Almost like what if somebody that took some effort to get that screwdriver in that tree. If it was a human being, they would have to use a rock or they have to use something, a hammer or something to drive that screwdriver in a tree.
oh yeah, or if they're look at
If it's a human,
look at how high up it was. I
how
could
high?
barely reach it with
Okay, so
me standing on my tiptoes and the tips of my fingers. I could touch it.
8 feet, 9 feet tall.
It was probably close to 8 feet anyway.
And the rocks, just look at the rock formation. Do you know where that's? I want to see that. Because a lot of times, when you're out in the field with people, they find these rock formations and just weird places that should not be. And there's the pine cones, there's the rocks. Those are big rocks.
Yeah, they were definitely placed. They were identical to what we found over the other place, and it's the same ingredients. And I believe that they put them there as some kind of a memorial for those missing people. That's what I think.
Well, that's just fascinating if that is the case. Because I mean, that's like
I believe that if we
you have
kept
a
on,
conscious, because I know several guys who feel that they have, who are researchers, by the way, who feel that they have guardian spirits, aka Sasquatch, with them. Maybe it's just the case. Maybe there is a case to it.
well, in 2009, when I went in there with my son and Don, we jumped over the gate and hiked in there. And when we got back, got kind of close to Louse Camp, a ranger came in from the other way, and he was very shocked to see us in there.
You weren't supposed to be in there, MK.
Yeah, and he said, and remember, this is just after those people went missing.
Oh.
He said,
when you say just after I mean, a month or two, a year, or what?
They went missing somewhere around the same time that we went back there.
Okay.
In 2009.
Okay, that's terrible.
The guy said, this is what he said to me: I'm not supposed to give anybody a ride in the the forest truck, but he says I'm going to give y'all one out of here. He says because if I leave you in here, you could die back here.
Which
he didn't explain it.
He didn't explain. So, but okay, let me ask you: what would have been the possible cause? How many were there in your group?
Just me, Don, and my son.
So it's 3 of you.
Yep.
How long of a hike were you in there? I mean, how many hours?
It was about 8 miles.
So what possibly in that area could have threatened your guys' life? 3 of you.
I don't know.
Outside of maybe big cats in that area, I don't think bears are really that big of a problem in that area. I mean, they have bears, but they're not that big of a problem.
Don had his big 44 Magnums too.
And
it
kind of narrows things down to either
He
some
thought
kind
he
of
thought
aggressive.
that, this man thought that if he left us in there, that we could die back in there.
Did you guys bring up Sasquatch and the reason why you were there?
Oh yeah, that's not that uncommon in that area. I mean, they're familiar with people coming in there for that reason.
Sure.
But I'm here to tell you it's been a fear ever since the local people. We told this lady where we were going she was the clerk at the convenience store there in Hoopa, and she says, "Oh, I love that area," but said, I am scared to death to go in there." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because of the 3 people that went missing."
Yeah.
So you see,
casual conversation says that.
it's an abiding fear, and that was what a 10-year period of time went by. I think this is a memorial, I believe.
Well, then what? Who do they think is threatening? Is it Sasquatch or something else?
Well, you'd have to sit them down and talk a long time to get them to talk.
And what do they say?
Well, they definitely believe in Sasquatch.
Right. And do they feel like that Sasquatch can go rogue on them and be
Well,
violent?
they fear little people more than they fear the Sasquatch.
Yeah, they certainly do. And then it's fascinating some of the reading that I've had of
The
not only the
Sasquatch,
legends, but the encounters that many of them have during
they
their
told
dark
me
night of the soul and their
they told me that if you encounter a Sasquatch, speak to it in your language, whatever language you speak, and back away at the same time and go the other way. You don't want to run into little people. If you run into them, and we've come across their tracks at Bluff Creek. I got pictures of one of them. It's maybe 3 or 4 inches long.
How do they describe the little people? What do they look like? Do you know?
That they go up every year to Marble Mountain, and they do a ceremony, and they offer leave tobacco for them.
And when you say little people, we're not talking like aliens. We're little people.
They're some kind of a little person or little humanoid that's mean as sin.
Right.
You just
Now,
don't
this
want
is
to get
something
along.
we found this Eurasia as well, the same tradition, right? It's not just uniquely North America. It's in fact, it's found throughout the whole world. This whole thing about these little people.
Well, I mean, I was going back there investigating the Patterson film. I had no idea that anything like that was even an issue.
We call them. Is that what they call? Is that how you pronounce it? How do you pronounce that? You see that, MK?
What's that?
Casual
No,
conversation says we call them Dundee. Okay. It's Duendes. He's still talking about the little people. We call them Dundies. Dundies?
I've heard some names for them, but I don't remember. But I do have that picture. I'll show it to you sometime. It was several. They had tried to erase their tracks. It's the 2009. And we went back there in 2009 is when we found those. They were fresh in the dust, and they had tried to erase. They had went back and forth over each track, except for two of them. Two of them they missed. And we thought
Duendes. Okay.
Dwindy, yeah, I've heard of those.
Dwindies. Okay. Thank you, Bam. Thank you. I should post that. So, I wonder if they're the same ones that when they talk about like when they have their rites and ritual ceremonies, and they talk about when they go to a certain place, whether it's a young man or when the shamans they go to a certain place and they sacred place. Usually, it's something that's made a circle made out of stones with a cairn in the middle or something like that, and they'd be there. And many
Yeah.
times they would have within those like after 3 days of not eating or drinking water, or they started having these visions, and part of it is these little people. And sometimes they're like the tradition that I understand is that they're not always bad. Sometimes they reveal truth to you. They're kind of like a trickster spirit as well, in which you have to be careful of what they say and do. A lot of times they mislead you, but sometimes they tell you the truth, they say, but I have no idea because I have never communicated with a little person.
Me neither, but I don't think I want to.
No, it's not one of my plans. It's not one of my wishes.
I don't think they're very pleasant.
Well, MK, this is I'm having a hell of a good time. But we don't want to wear this out because we got many more parts to do, hopefully. So this is just a recap. What we talked about tonight or today is about starting with the visit from 2008, in which 7 years later, by circumstances and a little bit of luck, if you'd like to say, I would say something spiritual was involved in my book, in which he was able to retrieve this footage right here, in which he ends up filming a Bigfoot in Bluff Creek, and hardly anybody knows about it. And what's even more special about it is the fact that it's animated, it's moving.
Here's this track. If you want to look at it, can you let me share it?
Yes,
Am I
sir.
still sharing?
You're sharing now.
Okay, here we go.
Flashlight, kind of sidelight it, but you can actually
see the toes right in here.
Yes.
You see how little it is? There's a pocket watch.
It's not very big. Is the big toe larger than the rest? Is it a little? Like...
Yeah, it's several toes. One right there, one right there, one right there, down this way. Little toe here. Watch it. It gets better sometimes. You get a better frame.
They don't look bear. They don't look like bear tracks.
See where they wiped them out?
Okay.
They destroyed them so you wouldn't see them.
Look over here. Yeah.
They take the little. It's casual conversation says that there's little people of the forest. Spanish. They are not friendly and they are known to take children, especially.
That's probably what 4 or 5 inches anyway.
Now, I always wonder about the possibility of how many of these, what we call cryptids, and I'm putting big quotes, cryptids, because because I don't know if that's even the proper term for what we're dealing with these things. How many people do actually go missing because of it? Right?
Well,
aliens, Bigfoot.
I don't know how many of them, what their capabilities are, but the local people are scared of them.
Or they don't even want to talk about them.
You can see the toes. There's no sign of any claws. It's not a bear.
That's the real thing. The tiny one too. Get real close to it, Doc. It's a child.
Little people. Or there's a nice one right there. Yeah. I wonder could they be a little infant Bigfoot?
Well, I mean that's what we thought at first, but we tried to we have to reconsider and at least keep that on the table about the little people, because we were told about him.
Do they say where they what does tradition say where they live and where do they
Right there.
well, I mean, the better way question would be
They
where do they bed down?
told me they see him up there all along Icy Road and down into Bluff Creek.
Thank you, Laura.
That's an older track right there.
Okay. For going out there and doing this.
See that right there? You can see it. It's a little older, but
That's pretty damn small.
Yeah, it's small.
That would make a lot more sense right there, yeah. To me, for whatever it's worth.
Where that stuff sits up. Yeah, something scraped over here.
Oh, he's going to try to cast it?
He did, but it fell off the picnic table at Louse Camp and broke.
Now,
he's got
I heard
another.
somebody said if you spray, if it's gravel like that, if you spray,
See that pressure crack right there?
Right.
That's a bigger track right here. It's like a Bigfoot.
I don't know. Have you heard this? I've heard that if you're gonna cast in like sand or gravel like that, that if you spray paint on it first before you cast, it helps to keep the form of the foot. And they also said if you actually use some saran wrap and put it there, that would help to keep all the dirt. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of using hairspray.
Yeah.
So some people, they say they use a saran wrap and they put it in the footprint and then they put the casting material. And that way you don't have all the rocks and all the sand that sticks to it. You know what I mean? Because it deforms the shape of it, right?
Yeah. It's you have to have something to keep it together.
Right.
I'm gonna have to run. I really appreciate you having me on.
Well, you're my buddy, my friend, man, and I help you. In a week or two, we have part 4, and there's so much more to talk about, folks. There's a lot more to talk about.
I mean, today was intense for me. I went back through that thing with Don falling, and he fell both times, and I kind of relived it a little bit.
I hope it was positive for you. I mean, you made many trips there, and you've dedicated a big part of your life to it.
That's what you go there for.
Hey, how's it going, Shelly? She's here. But yeah, it was wonderful. It's a good time. Just to let you guys know, in 5 hours and 45 minutes, I'll be talking to someone else again about this. This will be David Thundercloud. He's got some pretty interesting stories as well. He went out there with Colorado, Bigfoot up there in Colorado, and had his own interesting experience. So we should hopefully going to talk about that. And as far as MK goes, he's doing better after the procedure. He says, hopefully, right? And he is I think he's a very special man, a very special person, somebody that's it's at least in our field, we should treasure, especially, and have this opportunity to go over this stuff. Going out there. How many people have even been to Bluff Creek? Everyone talks a good talk, but how many have actually done it? And actually end up filming a Bigfoot in the process.
There were 7 years that I would have answered no. I have not filmed a Bigfoot in Bluff Creek. That I could have answered yes. I think of all the negatives to that.
Thank you, Shelley. Yeah, well, yeah, there's the negatives, but then there is there's the other side too, right? That's the damnedest thing about this existence, right? It's just such a dualistic life that we live in. There's the good, bad, and the ugly, right? And the thing is, though, you actually did film it, and you were able to retrieve it, and you have it for the world to see. And I think that's pretty damn special,
Yeah,
Ricardo.
I'm pretty lucky actually to get it back.
There we go, man. MK is the man. Watching your videos back in the day.
I don't loan out the originals anymore.
That's not a good idea to loan them out. You know, here's the thing too. You're right. You know, he MK was like hugely influential on me. He's the one that convinced me that started convincing me to actually go out and do my own research and have my own encounters and have my own sightings, and also and I would, you know, honestly, I don't know how to feel about MK except that you really have affected or infected my life, depending how you want to think about it. And
I apologize.
But it is, and there's no turning back. So you might as well make the most of it. And yeah, MK, you have influenced a lot of us, especially, you know, I think about in 2017 to 2016, 2017, you know, you had a following, and there's people that are following the Davis report. But I do believe the Davis report encouraged a lot of people to go to the next step. You know what I mean? And next step was, instead of just watching videos and stories on the internet and in websites, we decided to go out ourselves and find out if there's any truth to any of this. And what we're discovering, and the process of time, because of guys like MK Davis, that there's stuff going all over the place. And it doesn't matter what state you live in, or what part of the state, or where you at, how many trees you have, how much water you have. I mean, there's something going on out there that's and Bigfoot, Sasquatch is a big part of the picture. Would you not agree?
I do.
So we'll talk in a couple, and many blessings, my friend.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Everybody for listening in.
Yeah, everybody. And I'm going to, you can, if you want, you can just tap out. And I am going to end with a video. I'm going to see if I can use one of my, by the way, those who are looking, this is some Bigfoot that I filmed. Or are they the little people? They kind of look the same, just size-wise. That's what I hear. So anyways, we're going to do a little closing music in video imagery. Which one should I do? Let's do this one. And then, like I said, in about 5.5 hours, it'll be David Thundercloud, and this will be a very good interview. And then tomorrow night, then there's Mike Long Island Bigfoot, and God knows who's going to be next, because it just seems to keep, once you get going, it gets rolling. It gets a rolling. So here we go.
You're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. If you're going to try, go all the way. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, jobs, and maybe your mind.
If I can't